So we decided to start off 2022 a little differently. As soon as the January cold began to threaten the South, we jumped on a plane and met our friends the Henrys at the airport in Liberia, Costa Rica. There we took a car through the winding, flooded roads to the Guanacaste Peninsula, past the town of Potrero, to Charles Brewer's new urbanist car-free community on Playa Danta. This community, named Las Catalinas, is located at the center of over 400 hectares of tropical dry forest and valleys, and has an extensive network of hiking, running, and biking trails. Its architecture was inspired by colonial towns in Latin America, as well as Mediterranean hill and coastal towns.
Charles retired from Tuskegee University, and the hard stop was kind of forced by us going on vacation to Costa Rica. We went to this marvelous community called Las Catalinas, which is kind of a new urban community, Costa Rican community, live, work, play, and spent our first week there. We were joined by a couple of our friends, Sandy and Marcel Henry. Had a marvelous time there, did various adventures, went to several different towns, loved the beach experience and the pool experience, and of course there's great eating in that area as well. And you know, eating is my passion.
We visited a wildlife preserve and a coffee processing facility, and Chris took us to the seaside town of Tamarindo, where he demonstrated his surfing skills.
We left Las Catalinas and went to the Arenal volcano area and spent, I guess, a couple of days in an area called La Fortuna, a small town. Had a chance to experience the people and the culture there.
So behind me is the famous La Fortuna waterfall, 165 feet high from its base.
La Fortuna is a venue for lots of outdoor activities. While Chris experienced the zip line, we experienced the making of chocolate.
Chocolate, chocolate, bate de chocolate. That's the first Spanish lesson I had on TV when I was in 3rd grade, and I got to find out what it really meant when we went to the chocolate plant and plantation. So we got to find out the history of cacao. We got to see how cocoa beans are baked and crushed and made into chocolate, and we got to sample and make different flavors of chocolate, which was really my favorite part of the whole tour.
Nature Girl showed herself to be a true champion in crossing the hanging bridges. GoPro stop video. Nope. No hands.
Now that one was silly high.
Yeah.
It's the highest.
That was stupid high. Hold on my phone. Kung Fu grip. Whew. My day was great yesterday. We kayaked throughout Lake Arenal. We zip lined. By we, I mean it was a team effort. It takes a village, but we did it. We're here in the Cloud Rainforest State Suspension Bridges, looking for the rare bird, Sandra Rhodes Johnson. Caw-caw, caw-caw. Have you seen it? Let's find out.
Well, let's hear about the zip lining.
Oh, ziplining was intense. Ziplining was very intense. Ziplining was great. I was not prepared for it to be that high or that fast. But yeah, it was roller coaster, not ziplining. But good times, very good times. Didn't see any animals.
And then right up the road, there was this wonderful thermal spa called Tabacon. They were the couple I talked to earlier.
Ready.
We are literally in Shangri-La. This is Tabacon. It is a thermal spa here in the Costa Rican volcano, Lake Arenal area. It is absolutely heavenly. The water temperatures are like stepping into bath water where we are right now. And the area we're in with these private cabanas is called Shangri-La. I actually believe there are healing properties to those heated mineral waters, and I can't wait until we go back. Highly recommend it.
When we returned from Costa Rica, I took up a temporary assignment as interim CEO of Georgia's leading progressive think tank, the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute. There I had the opportunity to work with a dedicated group of young professionals as they formulated policies to create a Georgia in which all of its people can prosper. Once GBPI completed a successful transition to a permanent leader, I was able to resume my focus on public policy and the arbitration of business disputes.
In May, we took a long overdue flight to Denver, Colorado to visit with Charles Hughes, who had celebrated his 100th birthday. The last time I had seen him was his 97th birthday, which I had the pleasure of being able to spend with he and his sons in Denver. We say it was long overdue because Charles was in the last demonstration class at Tuskegee University along with Trey's dad, and had told us that he had things he wanted to share with the family about those years and that experience.
Were you in the same class with the Johnsons?
They came after, the person came in after the first year after I was there.
Yeah, first year after you were there.
I was there when they came in.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember Charles.
What do you remember of them?
We all got along well, even though they came a year after I did. But we had a. I just remember the day that he came in. He registered that day for some reason. But we all got along well. I remember when they came.
My father said he was like 14 or 15 years old at that time. So.
Yeah, there were a lot. I don't know why they got so many youngsters at that time.
So their father, at that time, was the president of FISC? Bobby and Charles?
It came later.
Oh, okay.
Like 44.
Oh, okay.
46, something like that. But Dr. Johnson was working on doing some research in Macon County.
Oh, okay.
Right, about that time. So Shadow the Plantation. They're around 33, 30,
Somewhere
31.
around there, yeah.
Dr. Johnson was working on profiles of 600 black families in Macon County.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and it resulted in a book called Shadow the Plantation. So that was, I was trying to figure out why did Charles and Bobby go to
Yeah.
Tuskegee for school? Well, maybe because their father was working down there. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. A lot of people wondered about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I mean, didn't make an issue out of it. But I have heard that before. Why? But he was a nice fellow. Everybody liked him.
So it was just a delightful trip and a time to reconnect with family in Denver. The end of May, we did our traditional trip up to Bard College for commencement, where Charles once again actively participated in the events going on around commencement at the school.
On behalf of Bard College, I had the honor of presenting an honorary degree to one of the country's leading edge musicians.
Upon our return, we literally hopped in the car and headed to South Carolina for him to do his thing at the Penn Center, where he now serves on the board of directors there.
And the Penn Center provides the opportunity to return to teaching, leading a workshop on the long and torturous struggle to make the nation an inclusive, multiracial democracy.
But it gave me an opportunity to spend time with cousins Mel and Marcy Johnson and my gal pals in Hilton Head, which I have the best time with every time I go up there. For this year's anniversary trip, Charles surprised me and took me up near Helen, Georgia, to an area called Sawtee Noguchi, Georgia. We stayed at this marvelous inn, the Lucille's Mountaintop Inn and Resort and Spa. When we chose the date that we were going to get married, we said we would always have fireworks for our anniversary, and Sawtee Noguchi did not disappoint. We were able to actually watch fireworks from the deck of the inn. In August, we traveled to the Bahamas, our second international trip of the year, for the Grand Boulé there. And it was truly a grand time for us. We were there for almost a week, and it was worth every second that we were there for the experiences that we had and the friends we were able to connect with while we were there. I say it was worth it because when we returned from the Bahamas, 2 days after our return, Trey tested positive for COVID, and a day after that, I tested positive for COVID. After over 2 years of being safe, vaccinated, and doubly boosted, we've come to the conclusion that everyone's going to get COVID at some point in time. But fortunately for us, it was no worse than a really bad cold.
Once again, we presented the William Smith Book Awards to authors whose work through literary merit and moral vision honestly portray the South, its people, its problems, and its promise. Charles continued his work to address the inequities in the area of maternal mortality while continuing to balance his life as a single dad. Chris follows the Formula One circuit, so he invited us to join him in Mexico, which was the site of a Grand Prix race, where we were able to observe the Day of the Dead, which coincided with my birthday.
We closed out the year with a bang as well. Probably one of the busiest Decembers we have had in years, traveling between Montgomery, Birmingham, Atlanta for several formal events. We did a couple of plays during the course of the month, and we had a museum opening that we participated in here as well. Getting ready for the new year, pray for us. We're heading to Spain. You'll hear about that in next year's venture, but we're planning to do a bicycle trip to Spain, and I'm getting ready to engage at the beginning of 2023 in training to get ready for that adventure. Southern Spain on a bicycle, who would have thought?
So 2022 was a pretty good year, and we're hoping that next year will be even better. And so from all of us to all of you,
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.